Yes, lovely people. Good morning to you all, or good evening or afternoon, wherever you're listening to around the world. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing good, and I hope you're all enjoying what is a long bank holiday weekend. Today's going to be a sunny one. Tomorrow, I'm hoping it's going to be a sunny one as well. Playoff finals today, people. So make sure you sit, enjoy, get yourself some food, get yourself some drink, and sit in front of what will be a cracking game of football. I honestly believe the Leeds Southampton playoff final, I think, or thought was going to be better or more exciting than the FA Cup final yesterday. But actually, yesterday was a good day. Yesterday was actually okay. We're going to talk about the FA Cup. We're going to talk about what it means for Manchester United. We're going to talk about why Arsenal, for some reason, haven't even kicked a ball yesterday, and I'm in everybody's mouths. Everybody seems to want to talk about Arsenal, not Chelsea, not Tottenham, not anybody else, just Arsenal. So we're going to talk about that and how we somehow seem to rattle the fan bases even without playing football. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Kieran Tierney. We're going to talk about Fabio Vieira and both of their futures at Arsenal Football Club. We're going to, of course, talk about some links with in the areas that I think we are still short in terms of Arsenal. And then we're going to look at what this might mean in the manager scenario, because the manager pool is very, very poor at the moment. It doesn't really matter what club you support. There's not really any managers out there that people are fancying at the moment. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the manager pool and the talent pool today and talk about why that has gone so downhill from the 90s and 2000s and even the 2010s, when a lot of people that will be listening into this chat were watching football weekly thinking, where has all the talent gone? Where has all the talent gone? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's start with the FA Cup. Before we do that, please make sure you do me a favor, people. Big up to all of you in the chat. Please make sure that you've hit the like button. That's all I ask. Don't have to throw in super chats. Don't have to donate. Don't have to become a member. All I ask is if you do want to do that, you're more than welcome. However, what I do expect from the bare minimum from you all, because it's absolutely free, is to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Now, we are so close to 19K, and we want to get closer to 20K. So please help by doing that. All you've got to do is click the like button and subscribe. It's 2 buttons. If you want to stay in the live chat, hit the cross, hit like, hit subscribe, and then come back into live chat and listen to what's going on. Big up to Ash, big up to Tammy, big up to King Macca, big up to AP, big up to Georgie, big up to Arsenal First, big up to SA Scouser, big up to Luke, big up to Noel, big up to Easy, big up to Jeffrey, big up to Jake, big up to Mohammed, all of you for being here, big up Duncan, and most of you for being here nice and early as well. So big up to all of you. Big up to Carol in the chat who's just joined, as well as Tammy. Listen, let's talk, shall we? Let's talk about the FA Cup. Let's talk about why everybody seems obsessed with talking about Arsenal yesterday when actually Arsenal didn't play. Everybody should have been enjoying the fact that Manchester City have finally, under Pep, been beaten, and Manchester United fans should be happy that they got a trophy. But unfortunately, what seems to happen is instead of saying, ha ha, Manchester City lost, it is ha ha, everyone's had a better season than Arsenal again. Now, I'm not somebody, as you know, that gets too rattled by this sort of thing, but I wanted to have a real discussion about it because it seems to rattle a lot of people. For me, when the question is asked, did Manchester United have a more successful season than Arsenal? The answer is yes, because they won a trophy. Does that then mean that I would rather go and support Manchester United? Does that mean that I would rather be in Manchester United's position? Absolutely not. It means that in 2 years they've been successful with 2 trophies, but the club is run like an absolute shambles. What that might mean is that actually they're a big club and that they can get across the line and Ten Hag can actually win them a trophy. And perhaps he's not the shambolic manager that some people think he might be. So Manchester United will be interested under a new structure as to whether they keep Ten Hag or replace him. But that doesn't really bother me. What makes me laugh is Chelsea and Spurs are not mentioned yesterday, but Arsenal are. Why is that? Chelsea and Spurs have had an abysmal season in terms of winning stuff. Arsenal haven't won anything, but everyone wants to then talk about it. Now, I know why it is. It's because we have sections of our fan base that get right on people's nerves, that start saying how fantastic we are and that we're going to go and win trebles in the next couple of years and stuff like that. Personally, there's a lot of people that have this obsession with rattling Arsenal fan base. And it's that section of the fan base that get on everyone's nerves, that have that loud voice on Twitter or social media that get on their nerves, that are in the pubs telling everybody how great Arsenal are. And I just think it's quite funny that people don't just laugh back at it and go, sit down, you didn't win anything. Because we didn't. You can just shut us up by doing that. But they don't. They get really rattled themselves. They go, yeah, better season than Arsenal. Where'd you? Oh, calm down, man. Yeah, you won a trophy. Chill. Well done. I don't get it. I find it bizarre. And I think maybe it's because I don't get it thrown my way. And when I do, it's my mates having a laugh with me. On social media, I see people getting into like full rants about this. And I'm like, Arsenal, Man United have fallen massively then. Because if we're screaming at each other about this, where the hell are we at? And Manchester City, by the way, who lost yesterday, must be laughing, thinking, oh my God, is that what they're like? Wow, we're fine then. Because we're winning. We've won literally, what, in the last 10 years? What have they won? Like 15 trophies or something mad. Yeah. Arsenal and Manchester United do this every year. When we won it in 2020, we've had a better season than United. Who cares, man? We both didn't win the league. We both didn't win the Champions League. Some of us weren't even fighting in the Champions League, yeah? And if we were competing in it, it was embarrassment, like Manchester United this year. So I don't really get why Arsenal and Man United fans are clinging on to what used to be. We've fallen as clubs massively if we're fighting over who had the better season coming second or winning a trophy. Like that to me is just a madness. Absolute madness. Last season, it was the same when they won the Carabao Cup. Who had the better season? Carabao Cup or it's weird. It's very weird. I don't get it. The trophy is always the better season. The end. Like, let's be real. The trophy is the better season. The end. If you was to ask me what position would you rather be in, Manchester United or Arsenal? Different question. Arsenal all day long. Yeah, because Manchester United, they might get it right in the next couple of seasons, but they are a long, long way to go. Arsenal are competing and challenging. Manchester United are not yet. Now, they'll probably get there because they're Manchester United, and all they've got to do is get the right structure and manager in place, and then I think they will fly because they're a huge club. But when you look at it, it is a pathetic argument. People on social media screaming at each other because we won a trophy, you didn't. No, but we had a good season because we pushed them all the way and you didn't. We were in a title race, you didn't. And it's like, are these kids adults or is it playground stuff? It's actually rather embarrassing, man. So, yeah, we didn't win a trophy. If you want to say we had a bad season, it's calm. Let's move. When I look at the manager pool at the moment and the talent pool, I think it's worth a discussion. There's a huge, huge problem when I look at what is out there at the moment in terms of talent and what is out there in management. Now, I'm not saying that everybody out there is poor. Yeah. I honestly don't believe that we are in a scenario where there's hardly any good players anymore. That's not what I'm saying here. But I think the amount of depth in each position has completely disappeared. Now, let's just talk about the players to start with, then I'll come into the managers. When I grew up in the 90s, I was watching football in the 2000s and the 2010s. I looked at the England side, and there was always in each position 5 or 6 players, and there was quite a few players that didn't have a good England career because of the talent in front of them. Now, my favourite Arsenal player was Ian Wright. He didn't have an amazing international career. Why was that? Well, because he had Shearer, he had Sheringham. There was other strikers that were potentially looked over him that were debatable, like Andy Cole, Robbie Fowler. You look at somebody like Les Ferdinand, Matt Letitia, all these guys that were competing with somebody like Wrighty. Yeah. Some of them didn't even get an England call up. Big up to Kevin Campbell, Super Kev. Didn't get an England cap. Unbelievable centre forward. Now, why is it that that's now disappeared? That we've gone to England over all those years, and then it goes forward to another generation, and the Shearers and the Sheringham's disappeared, but then the Michael Owen, the Wayne Rooney, Crouchy, Defoe, even like Heskey, who else is there that I can think of? Dion Dublin, who else was there that was decent that scored like hundreds of goals for their club? They'll keep coming to me, right? Where are they all now? Where are they all now? Like I've just reeled off like 10 to 15 players there. Even players that people would go, don't really rate him. Let me think of two. Gabby Agbonlahor, Theo Walcott, Darren Bent. Now, Kane, Tony, Watkins, done. Or Solanke, to be fair to him. Then you have to drop down to like Calvert-Lewin, Eddie Nketiah level. That real talk. What's happened? Where are they all gone? They've all dried up completely. Take it away from England if you want. Go Europe. Everybody wants a number 9. Who's out there? 4 names. Osimhen, Isak, Victor Gyökeres. Then you have to drop down to kids you've not really heard of too much. So you might have to do something with, whether it be Boniface or Sesko or these guys. Like, I do not get where all of these players have gone. Where have they gone? Like, it's all dried up. And you have then the level down if you want to go to a Watkins or maybe a Tony if you think he's a level down, or I don't know, Jonathan David and all these guys. And it's like, where are the number nines? Like, everybody wants them, but then any about. So that's a big problem for me. In midfield, people are talking about midfielders. Bruno Guimaraes is one. Yusuf Fofana, Zubamendi, De Jong if he's available. Who else is there? Like, where are they? Where are all these players at? Like, my point is, there's 5 or 6 in every position that you could reel off in the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s. Where are they gone? Where are they going? They're all drying up now. Like, they are absolutely drying up. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Mbappes of this world. I love the Haalands when he's in front of goal. I love what we're seeing from Vinny Jr. I love the fact that we've got some of the youngsters that are coming through that people are looking at that could be potentially world class one day. But let's just sit back and kick back and think, wow, in the 90s, there was an unbelievable amount of strikers. It was ridiculous. You could name them and reel them off. Same with midfielders. Yeah. But now it's like, where are they gone? Where are they all? Like, seriously, where are they all? And then we look at the managers. Now, the manager one is even more of a shambles, if I'm honest with you. A lot of people are talking about Mikel Arteta. Oh, do you think he should go? Do you think he should stay? What happens when he doesn't win something next year? I look at the manager shortlist and I think, wow, the only ones with any sort of CV that are available right now are Thomas Tuchel, who's going to be available in the summer, Antonio Conte, and Jose Mourinho. That's it. All the others have either been snapped up or they've won nothing, like Kieran McKenna or Maresca or De Zerbi, who everyone seems to overhype. I don't get this loving for this guy, by the way. Good player, good manager, but like, holds a lot of L's, like, and serious batterings as well, like serious beatings. I wouldn't want my manager personally holding 4s against Luton and 5s against Villas and 4 against Romas and was it 6 against Villa actually? Nah, not for me. Might pass it round nice at the back, but I actually want to try and score some goals and try and keep some clean sheets. Anyway, that's my thoughts on De Zerbi. So where's the manager pool gone? Because for me, when people say, do you want to replace Mikel Arteta, Dan, I'll say, okay, give me some names and I'll discuss who I think would be better. Because if you're going to throw De Zerbi at me, I'd keep Arteta. If you're going to throw McKenna or Maresca at me, I'd keep Arteta. If you're going to throw Carlo Ancelotti at me, then we've got a conversation. If you're going to throw somebody that has a CV that says, I win all this, then let's talk. Otherwise, I'm happy to keep what we've got because I look at the manager pool and I think, wow, this is ridiculous. Like, it's actually embarrassing. When Chelsea have a manager list that has Cesc Fabregas on it, big up to Cesc, there's a problem in football with managers. When Fernando Torres is on the list to replace Jurgen Klopp, there's a problem with managers. Do you know what I'm saying? So when people throw on Slot and Amorim and De Zerbi and McKenna and Maresca at me, I look at their CV and I go, not much more than what Arteta's done. Like, let's just keep Arteta. Do you know what I'm saying? So it just gets really weird for me. I don't understand where all the managers have gone. But the managers and the players, the talent pool, it just isn't out there at the moment. I think we're going through an era where I think some of the youngsters coming through are going to have a massive jump to what they've got already. Because, if you're to name world 11s, you used to be able to reel off 5 or 6 players in each position that you could debate about. Now it's quite clear who they all are. It's like a worry for me, It's quite a drop-off from Mbappe and Vinny Jr. There's quite a drop-off from Haaland and Kane. There's quite a drop-off from Kevin De Bruyne. There's a huge drop-off from defenders in this world and fullbacks in this world now, where there never used to be. And I don't know, man. I find it really, really strange. So I thought it was worth mentioning. Thought it was worth having a comment about it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Listen, let's talk a little bit about transfer news, shall we? Because today, Arsenal Football Club, yet again, are looking at players to get rid of. Now, I said that this list was going to be a mass exodus and a bit of a clear out. And I said yesterday on the stream that there's probably about 10, 11, 12 players that we might want to get rid of. Yeah. I kind of stand by that. I kind of do. Because I just feel like there's players at this club now that either don't have a future, that aren't really working, or that we need to be ruthless with to go to that next level. And I stand by that. I really do. So I think when we get an understanding of players that we want to try and sign, we can then look at who is potentially going to have to leave. And of course, Two of the players mentioned today are Fabio Vieira and Kieran Tierney. Now, Kieran Tierney has obviously left Real Sociedad now. He's coming back to Arsenal for talks about his future. Now, I want to know what your thoughts are in the chat. Please let me know what you would do with Kieran Tierney, because I see an unbelievable player there who has so much professionalism, a win now attitude, mentality that I think we lack at times. Can play left centre back, left wing back, left full back, and probably could play another couple other positions if he need be. I don't think he's a player that can play in the inverted role, but I think he could have played there when Ben White was inverted. I don't think he's got a future at Arsenal, and I think we'll sell him. But I honestly don't think we're going to get anything more than between 8 and 10 million, because Tierney has not been playing and has an injury record that people look at and don't like. Arteta has definitely not said he's one of his players because he was an Emery signing. And I just feel like the only way is potentially try and either keep him in England or ship him back out to Scotland at Celtic, who will probably have him back. So 27 now is Kieran Tierney. I mean, he's not young, but he's not old. He's not someone I look at and think, oh, we've got to try and ship him out because he's touching 30. What is he? 26 years old. There we go. I've just checked. So he's 26 years old. He's not a player that should be looked at as old, but also not a player that we can say is young. And I just think that we have got so many left back options that people that say we need another left back, I don't quite understand it. Because unless you can tell me a left back that's coming in to absolutely trump them all, and I'm talking like Ashley Cole standard, then I'm all ears. But I can't see one out there that we could get that is Ashley Cole level. Because at the moment, we've got Tomiyasu can play there. Tierney's now back can play there. Tavares back that can play there. Kivior that can play there. Zinchenko that can play there. And Timber that can play there. So we've got 6 left backs at the moment at the club, or 6 players that can play left back. Why do we need another left back? I honestly do not get it. Unless it is that Paolo Maldini, Ashley Cole type. How are we going to get another left back and afford one? I don't get it. Personally, I would keep Tomiyasu and Timber as our left back options. And if you want to keep Zinchenko or Tierney as well, then go for it. But I would rather keep Tierney than Zinchenko. Tavares has got to go. That's not an option. Kivior can't play there for me. I think he has to be our left-sided centre-back cover for Gabriel. But I do not understand why we need to go and get another left-back. I think Timber will play there. I think that's what our left-back option is going to be. Yeah. So I think it'll be really interesting to see our left-hand side next season. And I said that yesterday. If we get Timber there, Martinelli starts there, a left 8 like a Bruno or a De Jong, and then a centre forward like an Alexander Isak, Victor Gyökeres type, that will completely transform our left-hand side and keep our right-hand side stable. I think the sustainability on the right-hand side has been something that has allowed them to progress, develop, and flourish. I think with Ben White and Saliba, together with Saka and Erdegaard, I think that is a beautiful right-hand side. The left-hand side, we need to sort it out. And I think we will this summer, if I'm honest with you. So Kieran Tierney's an option, but I just don't think he's going to stay at Arsenal. I don't think he has a future. I think Mikel Arteta appreciates his professionalism and everything that he does off the pitch. But on the pitch, I just don't see him as a player that he wants to try. I don't think he's a player that he wants to try at left back, left inverted, anything. I just don't think he's the sort of player. Kieran Tierney's an old school left back, isn't he? Yeah. He's a left back that is, one, can defend. Most important job is to defend. And when he gets forward, he doesn't want to invert. He doesn't want to play 1-2s. He wants to bomb it down the left and swing balls in. Now, I think personally that is something that we do need at times. I think it would be a great option, let's say, in the 65th minute if things aren't working against a real hard time against somebody like Brentford away and it's 0-0. I think you fling on Kieran Tierney and Kai Havertz and you flick him down the left-hand side, flicking balls in, and Kai Havertz is there to bury him and to put him in, to head him, to flick him on, to cause chaos in the box. That's exactly what's needed. So I think there's an option there to keep Kieran Tierney. And some people, I know James from AFTV and Chris Hudson from AFTV were talking about it with me, saying I think Tierney's future might not be up at Arsenal. I kind of think it is. I disagree. I don't think Kieran Tierney's wanted. I don't think he would have been loaned out, particularly when we got Timber's injury and then Tierney was still allowed to go out. That was when I knew he's got no future here, like for me. So Kieran Tierney's an option, but I just don't see it. I think if we was to get rid of left backs, it would be Tavares and Kieran Tierney that go. So let's watch this space. The other position, of course, is Fabio Vieira. Now, I said yesterday, and I stand by it, the reason I don't like him is because he is weak and lightweight together. That is not what you need. It's not suited to this league. It's not a position I look at that I think, yeah, do you know what? We could actually have a player that can come and do that sort of role with those attributes. I think he's got a great left foot. Weight of pass is good, and I do think he's a good passer of the ball, but that's literally all he's got. I don't see any physical attributes. I don't really see any other link-up play. I don't see a fantastic player that can hold the ball up. I don't see one that tracks back and defends very well. I don't see one that's versatile to play in a few positions because I don't think he plays in a position very well. I think he does okay in a number of them. There's not really like, wow, Vieira's definitely a number 8 or definitely a 10 or definitely a winger. He kind of does okay in all of them, and I don't want okay in all of them. I want this guy as an absolute elite level winger, striker, defender, midfielder. That's what I need in this team. And I don't think that Fabio Vieira is that, if I'm honest with you. Before we move on from him, because I've got a lot something to say on him, how many likes we got up to? Let's have a look. Oh, come on. We're not even at 100 likes, and there's nearly 400 people in here. Come on, all you got to do is hit the like button, people. Come on, please, and subscribe. Like, subscribe. I beg you. We are so close to that 20K. We're only a couple of hundred away. I just need to get to 20K, and I'd love to do it before this next season starts. So please get me to 20K and join the community. We're going to be here every day putting out content. It's all free. I just need you to hit 2 buttons for me, please. Like and subscribe, and then come back in the chat, and it's all good. On Fabio Vieira as well, I will say this. I can understand why Arsenal took a punt on him and risked it, because he was one of the players of the season in the unders for Portugal, in the unders. He was in the under-20s, apparently the one that everybody looked at. 15 assists for Porto, fantastic summer tournament. I understood why we went for him at the time. At the time, if you remember, we were trying to push for that top 4. We weren't actually going to the for the title. So I think when Fabio Vieira was bought, it wasn't to get across the line for the Premier League title. It was to try and compete and ensure that we were playing Champions League football. So I understood the signing at the time, but I didn't really get why it was that much. Like, for me, I can understand why someone scouted him and gone, he's one for the future. He's the player of the tournament. He's the one who's setting up everybody. He's got a great weight of pass. I like his attributes. Let's bring him to the Premier League. It kind of developed quite quickly and was evident quite quickly to me that he wasn't going to be suited to the league. And it was a hell of a lot of money. A hell of a lot of money. So let's see what happens with Fabio Vieira. We've got 3 options. We can keep him and try and use him as a squad player. Option number 2 is that we loan him out somewhere. And I've suggested somewhere like Wolves, where he's got a few Portugal teammates around him that he might be able to feel a bit settled, might get more first team football. Definitely better than some of their players. There's only really Pedro Neto that I look at there that I think is an absolute must to start at Wolves in that position. And then when you look at it, the other option is that you can sell him. Now, I know we signed him for 35, 40 million. We ain't getting that back. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take an L on that one. I think Fabio Vieira is a player that if we was to be offered 20 to 25, you've got to say yes. He's got the age on his side. I think he's only 22, 23. So he's not a player that I look at and go, wow, you're definitely done and dusted. He's a player that I think somebody will be able to get the best out of in a different league. So if we want to stick with him, we stick with him. If we want to stick with him in this league, we loan him to Wolves or somewhere like that. And if we want to say goodbye to him, then it's got to be another league. I'm sure he'll do well in Spain. I'm sure he'll do well in Portugal again. And he might even do well over in France or somewhere like that. But for me, I don't think it's going to work in the Premier League for him, bless him. So I think he might have to leave. That's the way I see it. And I honestly stand by this. I think we will keep one of Fabio Vieira or Emil Smith-Rowe. And I think it will probably be Emil Smith-Rowe, if I'm honest. Now, people said to me yesterday about Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira, but there was a report in The Athletic today that suggests that Arteta is not happy with Fabio Vieira's training. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that he's not doing well enough in training in terms of his physical attributes, if his drills aren't good enough, or if it's an attitude thing. And I need to read the article properly. I literally saw the headlines, but I haven't had time to read it. Go and watch that. Go and listen to that in The Athletic and let me know, because I feel like I'm going to read it later to see if that means Fabio Vieira mentally isn't right or just isn't good enough, because there's 2 very different things there. I think if you're not quite at the level, but you're 22, you can then coach to that level. If it's gone up here, he's got to go. He's got to go. If he's somebody on the training field that's the last there, if he's like the last one to get there, but the first one to leave, if he's not really giving 110, if he's not got the passion, drive and desire, I think it might be time to say goodbye and let him go, because that's not what I want at the football club. Like, it just isn't. So that's where I'm at with Fabio Vieira. Let's talk a little bit about some of the incomings, because there's not been any talk about some of the other outgoings yet. Thomas Partey, we mentioned. Smith Rowe's got talks. Tierney in talks of Arsenal. Fabio Vieira in talks about potential move. They're the sort of players that we expected to be leaving. And on top of that, the fact that we were expecting after Cedric and Elneny to go, Tavares, Lokonga, Marquinhos, potentially Charlie Patino might be either out for another loan or a move. Nelson and Ketia. These are the guys that we're going to be looking at leaving, right? But let's have a look at where we are at with incomings. Now, I understand that you've got the opportunity of looking at Ramsdale being replaced. We mentioned that yesterday. We look at the defensive element, which I'm going to come back to. Yoel Harto is someone that we're looking at. I know that he can play left back and left centre back. He's only just turned 18 years old. But I really do feel that there's a right centre back issue. Now, people disagree with me on this, so I'd love to get your thoughts on this chat, right? There's a lot of people that believe that left back is more of an issue than right-sided centre back. Now, I understand and appreciate that there's players that can play in both positions. But you can't say we need a left back because we've only got Timber, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Tierney, Tavares, and Kivior that can play there, and then say we don't need a right centre back because Ben White can play there. Because you're arguing with the same thing. We're shifting players around. We need two players in each position that are there. I've got no problem with versatility with players that can play there as well as, but you need two in each. So we need, in my opinion, Ben White and Tomiyasu as our right backs, and Timber and let's say Tomiyasu or Zinchenko as our left backs. At centre back, Gabriel and Kivior, fine. But who's there for Saliba? Because if we're shifting one across, we're going to have issues if one of them gets injured, which is basically what happened last season, if we think about it. Saliba and Tomiyasu both got injured. And then Ben White was like, well, I can't shift in both. I've got to play one. Someone else is going to have to come in. So we need a right-sided centre-back. And that, for me, needs to be somebody like Diomande, who I believe is going to be about 30 to 35 million. Absolute monster. Just turned 20 years old. Looks like Kenyatte. For me, somebody like that. And I honestly believe that's the top level. Aiden and Ghost are saying, go sign Varane. Not for me. I think Varane's been a disappointment at Manchester United. I think he's a good defender, don't get me wrong. But I think he's on the wrong side of where we're at now. I think he's in the decline as a footballer. I like Casemiro is. So not for me. But I definitely do need. I think that we definitely do need a right-sided centre-back. That's my opinion. More than a left-back. So that's where I'm at. In midfield, well, this is the biggest surgery for me because Jorginho and Partey are the only two we're going to have potentially, right? Jorginho and Rice, because Partey's going, Elneny's gone, and there talks of only one of Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe staying. So that leaves Erdegaard as well, right? So we're potentially going to have four: Jorginho, Rice, Erdegaard, Smith Rowe, and that's to cover all three of those positions. So I think we need somebody that's like a boom signing, like a Declan Rice signing, like a Bruno Guimaraes that we spoke about yesterday. And then I think we would add to that a Yusuf Fofana as well. Now, I know there's links with Zubamendi, but that's been really quietened down. I honestly don't believe that's a player that we're looking at or agreed to, like some were saying. Some people were saying, yeah, do you know what? Zubamendi's done. It's agreed. He's coming in the summer. 50 million release clause. I've not heard that. That's not something that's come out recently. And that would have by now if it would have been agreed in the winter. So I don't know that Zubamendi is the guy that we're looking at. I think it's someone bigger than that. I don't think it's Tierney. I don't think it's Camavinga, nobody like that. I don't think it's that. I think it's either Bruno Guimaraes or De Jong, from what the reports you read. I don't have any ITKs. I have no idea, right? But I think Yusuf Fofana would be a great shout. If he's only a 20 to 25 million, that's a steal. The guy's a monster. Kefren Turam, another guy I really like the look of, can play box-to-box midfield. Not one that can just sit and anchor but can do that job, but more of a box-to-box player. Really good on the ball. Good ball carrier. Looks to have a great pass and vision on him. I think it'd be a great signing. And I think needs to be interested in selling him because for the right money, that's the sort of team that you could go up to and trump. So I think if those sort of players are going to be between 20 and 35 million, both of them are a steal for me. I'd rather spend 60 million on those two than pay 50 for Zubamendi. Yeah, I'd rather pay 10 to 15 million pound more and get both of them. That's my thoughts. So midfield's going to be an option we look at. I still have a question mark over attacking midfield because if Erdegaard was to get an injury, would Smith Rowe come in that 10 and do well? I really like him. I think he's looked sharp when he's come on. I love his drive. I think he's got a great future ahead of him. But has he played enough football to be given that role? There's the question mark for you. Smith Rowe got done well to get us for a top 4 challenge. Is he going to get us over the title? Let's have a look at that one. The other option we've got, which nobody's spoken about yet, is to promote from within. Now, I am a big fan of Ethan Nwaneri. Now, Ethan Nwaneri, I think, is going to be a player that we look at in the next few years and realise if he's going to be a Jack Wilshere or if he's going to be a J. Emmanuel Thomas or a Dan Crowley. And for those old enough will know what I mean by that. Yeah. Jack Wilshere come through the ranks and everyone said he was going to be phenomenal. And trust me, he had a career that should have been phenomenal. Dan Crowley, he's going to be better than Jack. He went and played for Plymouth, I think. Still is playing somewhere in the conference, I think. J. Emmanuel Thomas, he was going to be like an unbelievable talent. Never happened. He went to Ipswich. He went to Charlton, I think. It never happened. We're going to know if Ethan Nwaneri is going to be a Jack Wilshere or a Dan Crowley, in the next couple of seasons for me. And I like what I see so far. When he's come on and made appearances, he's held his own. And I like that. But actually, are we actually going to get some minutes for this guy? Are we in a position where trying to go across the line, we need an Ethan Nwaneri in the squad? Or do we need to be giving him a loan deal at somewhere like Ipswich or maybe even the Championship and then going in properly? And I think that's what we need to be doing. The one player I look at, if we are going to go for this position, which a lot of people don't think we are going to in creative midfield, Xavi Simons is the guy I'd love. I know that there's talk of him leaving, and I would absolutely love him. I think he's a baller. I think he's brilliant on the ball. He's got flair, creativity, tenacity. I love his passion and desire and driving games. I really like him. I think he'd be a phenomenal signing for someone. And if he was to come to Arsenal, I think he would be a massive, massive part and can play wide as well. So would be able to give Saka a bit of a rest if need be, if Jesus weren't out there to cover for him. So that's where I'm at in the midfield and defence. And then we talk about the right wing position and the central striker position. And I think Bukayo Saka is definitely going to be our right winger. And I think if we was to sign an Elise, who we're linked with, by the way, and I think it's a £60 million release clause, might even be a little bit less. Pedro Neto, likewise, is probably going to cost around about that as well. I think as much as I want that, I don't think that Saka is in a position. I don't think they're in a position, where they're going to look at it and go, Saka, yeah, I can get ahead of him. So where do we go? Do we go for someone who can play out there and cover like a striker, like Jesus plays there? Do we go for a Xavi Simons who can play wide right or in the middle? Or do we go and get an actual like for Saka, like an Elise or a Pedro Neto? Now, obviously, I want the best players coming to Arsenal. And Elise and Pedro Neto both excite me. Pedro Neto's injury problems are a massive worry. He'd be my number one, but the injuries would make me realise that perhaps Elise is better. And I know that people say he's injury prone, but I spoke to a lot of Palace fans. This is his first big injury that he's got. Little niggles, but he's only out for a couple of weeks and he comes back. Pedro Neto's had like long-term injuries, which is a real frustration. Same can go for Alexander Isak. So I think for me, Michael Elise, if he has any inkling at all of wanting to come to Arsenal, we need to get the job done. Like we really do. He'd be phenomenal. But again, how much money have we got? All of these players, if they're all coming in at once, which I don't think they will, by the way, I'm not suggesting they all come in at once. It's going to cost about 350 million. So we need to be realistic about what we've actually got. Then when you look at what we need to do at Arsenal as the last piece of the puzzle, it's of course up top. A number 9, a proper number 9. Now, when I say number 9, I don't mean an old school hold up Harry Kane type number 9 who holds the ball up. Harry Kane's a bad example actually because he bangs him in, but you get my point. I don't want a hold up player because we got that in Kai Havertz. I want an absolute killer. I want someone who's going to be guaranteeing us goals. I want the 20 to 25 goals a season. I want him golden boot alongside Haaland. That for me, the obvious one and the one that I would say would be the most absolute confidence of coming in and scoring would be Alexander Isak. I think he's up there, and I think the rest of them are down a level. Victor Gyökeres, even Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins. I think they're the ones that are just slightly below it. I don't think we're going to get Alexander Isak. One, I don't think they're going to sell. They might not sell either, but they're definitely not going to sell both Bruno and Isak. I think Bruno will be the one that goes if at all. Isak will stay at Newcastle to see what's going on for another year or maybe 2. But for me, when I look at what happens after that, where do we go? Now, Victor Gyökeres, £84 million release clause. That could be a good one. banged them in at Coventry, and people will go, that's Championship, but it's England and it's a tough league, and he was competitive there and he banged them in. He single-handedly got them to the playoffs. And then that was noticed, and he went to Sporting Lisbon, and everyone was like, why's he gone over there? Oh, wow, that's why. 35 goals, whatever it's been. I think his GA is like 40. Absolutely mad. Killing it over there. That's a player I would look at. 100% I would. Now, I don't know enough about the Portuguese league, but I do know that this player has played in England, and he looks like an absolute unit. And he's not a hold-up ball player. He bangs them in. Yeah. The other option, of course, is Victor Osimhen. There's a lot of reports that I don't really trust that are saying we're going to go all heavy out for Osimhen. That's the one that we're going for now. I don't know that I trust that. £112 million release clause. I don't know. Are we going to do that? A lot of people are saying no. He's brilliant for Napoli last year. This season not been great. Wasn't great in the African Cup of Nations, apparently in the Ivory Coast. So I don't believe that that's someone a lot of people are actually too keen on now. Whereas last season, people would have loved it. Absolute beast of a striker, banging him in, brilliant player. Everyone wanted him. Now no one does. It's weird how football changes. And then if you don't want those, one of the two Victors after Isak, then you can go look like at Ivan Toney. I like Ivan Toney a lot. I think he's an all-round number 9. I think he'd do well at Arsenal. I think he'd bang them in. I think he'd score goals. I like his attitude. A lot of people don't. They think he's a bit more of a bit of a cheat, bit of a, all of his gambling stuff coming to the Arsenal would not be a good look if he's got problems off field, etc. I think we need to go and get somebody like him, though. I'd rather Toney than Sesko because Sesko's just turned 20, I think, or 21. He scored 13 goals in Bundesliga. Nothing amazing. I don't look at him and go, wow. But maybe I will in a few years. Maybe when he's better. Maybe when he's grown up to be in his late 20s, he's banging them in. I don't know. But I think personally we'd have an unbelievable opportunity of getting somebody like that. But that to me is more of a project striker. I don't know that we need that. Yeah. I personally feel like we need a number 9 that's going to come in and guarantee goals. And I know that's risky, whatever. And I know nobody guarantees you 30 goals a season. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, we go in and he is the guy that absolutely is. Maybe Isak is the only one I know that will come in at Arsenal and bang him in because he's doing it for Newcastle and we create more chances. We score more goals. We give him more of an opportunity. So that's why I believe Isak would be the best signing for Arsenal. And I would go all out to sign him. Even if it costs 120 million. I don't care. Yeah. Spend 120 million on your number 9, and then with your rest of your 200 million, spend that 80 and getting in a defensive, a centre midfielder, a left 8. And then when you sell players, you then start getting the backup players. You get your goalkeeper replaced. You get your centre back you need. You get your right winger for Saka cover. You get your creative midfielder that you want to back up Ødegaard. That's what you do with the players you get. Because we could get about 130 to 150 million with all those players. Now people go, that's not a lot when you've sold all them players. Yeah, but look at them. You're not going to get money for a lot of them players. Tavares, Lokonga, Tierney, even Ramsdale's probably not going to get 40 million, 50 million, like people are saying. He's going to get about 25. Yeah. Partey, if he's to go, is going to get us about 15, 20 million, probably, because he's an injury-prone 31-year-old centre midfielder. I wouldn't sell him for that. I'd just keep him. But that's what they'll probably offer. Nelson, he's probably going to get us between 10 and 15 million. He doesn't play. So Eddie Nketiah might get us 20 to 25 if we're lucky. Like, we're not going to be getting 30 year, 40 year, 50 years, 70 years, 75 years. We're not going to do that unless you go and sell a Martinelli. But I don't want to do that. Yeah. If you want to go and sell a Martinelli for, say, 75, 80 million, that's how you get big money in for players. But we don't want to do that. Yeah. We don't want to do that. So we're going to have to look at that seriously and realistically and consider how much we made out of these 8 sales. Oh, about 120 million. Brilliant. Let's go and get a backup goalkeeper with that. Let's go and get a defender with that who can back up. Let's go and get a backup to Ødegaard and a backup to Saka with that. And there we go. We've got 4 players that are in the region of 20 to 25 million each. And then you've got your 100 odd million there that you spent on 4 or 5 players. I think that's what we've realistically got to try and do. Now, every single window we have had it slammed shut and we've been short. We can't allow that to happen this time. And the reason that you all know we're short is because we've got 4 people on the bench that aren't used. That means we're short. Doesn't mean we're short of players. It means we're short of quality. And there's a difference. You don't have to have 25 players and only 18 play. We need 25 players and 20 of them are massive parts. And there's 4 or 5 that are on the fringes that are the next ones to be brought into it. That's what we need, man. That's what we need. We need to do enough. So we're there to look at how we can get a 19 to 20 man squad as opposed to a 14 to 15 man squad. Because that's what we've got at the moment. Everybody knows when everyone's fit, we've got bench players that we can put on there. Trossard can come on and make an impact. Havertz, if we get a number 9, can become a sub and be a really good impact sub. We've obviously got the likes of Tomiyasu, who we've mentioned, who can come on and do a job. We've got players in midfield that if we were to buy somebody like Fofana that can come on. If Xavi Simons was bought, he could be brought on. If Elise was bought, he can come on. Do you know what I'm saying? These are the sort of players that can then come on. Gabriel Jesus can be a sub and a good sub. That's what I want to be seeing in our. I don't want Nelson's coming on, El Nenny's coming on, Cedric's coming on. What's his name? Eddie coming on. These are not the players I want. Fabio Vieira. This isn't the way forward. So I want next season there to be an opportunity where we go, do you know what? 60 minutes. Look at this bench. We need to bring on someone to beat Bayern Munich. We need to bring on someone in the FA Cup because we're in the semi-finals and we've got Manchester United or Liverpool. That's the place we need to be at next season for me. That's where we're at. Yeah. So I'm one of these guys who really believes that every single window you maximize it. And that's why it annoys me in the last couple of windows where we haven't really done it. Yeah. It's like January windows in the last 2 or 3 have been really poor, other than the Trossard signing. Because the first one, Aubameyang left, we didn't replace him. The next one, we were linked with Mike Caicedo and Mudryk, and we got Jorginho, Trossard, and Kivior, which is a very underrated and underappreciated window. But the last one, no one could do anything because of the PSR. I want the windows to shut and you go, whoa, we really made the most of that. And I think that if we're ever in an opportunity to go boom, 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 we need to do it. And I think right now, this summer, we're in another opportunity to go bang, bang, bang. And that's what I want to be seeing. And I want it to be quick too. I don't want it to get to August where we're getting prepared for Community Shield and it's like, who's coming? No one's come yet. I want it to be right. We've got our midfielder in. We've got our number 9 in. Now let's go pre-season. And then throughout that pre-season, our backup goalkeeper's now here. Oh, we've got a defender that can back up and compete. Oh, we've got a backup for Saka that can compete. Oh, wow, this guy's coming. We didn't expect he could really push Erdogan. This is what we need to be seeing, man. This is the window we need at Arsenal. This is where we need to be going. We're here, we're here, we're here. When you get there, what do? Do you go down or do you go up again? And that's what we've got to be doing, man. 100%. So I need to be looking at this window and going, do you know what? Fair play. That's like a 9 out of 10. Not, yeah, it's quite good, but it's a 6 or 7. Like, yeah, hopefully it'll be all right. And that's what I was feeling last time. The Declan Rice signing, come on. And then it just stopped. And I'm like, Havertz is a risk. Raya's a risk. Like Timber's, injury, unfortunately, but good signing. It was like a 6. We needed it to be a 9 or a 10. And that's what we need this summer window. And we say this all the time. We do. Some of the signings have been fantastic under Edu and Arteta. We can't sit there and slag it off and say that it hasn't been, because it has been. Ben White has been phenomenal. Thomas Partey, Erdegaard, Declan Rice. These players have been fantastic. Some of them, not so great. You can't say Jesus and Zinchenko have been phenomenal. You can't say that Tavares and Lokonga have been great. You can't say that Fabio Vieira has been wonderful. There's probably been half and half here. Yeah, maybe 60-40 being kind to Edu and Arteta. We need that to be every signing coming in is an absolute worldie now. That's the stage we're at. Not this, there's this guy at Brazil who's 18 and don't want him. Or bring him and so loan him out. I want someone in ready now. Someone taking us to the next level now. Declan Rice levels. That's the sort of signing we need. Doesn't always have to cost you 100 million, but that's the start. That's the level. That's the standard. Yeah, we raise that standard to go up to that next level. And if it's Declan Rice that's needed, we go for it. Because next season, guys, let's be real. Manchester City, they ain't going anywhere. They're going to get better. They might go for Bruno themselves. They tried for Paqueta. That means they're probably going to go in madness now for Florian Wirtz or Musiala or somebody like that because they know KDB's on his last legs. They're probably going to go and get another winger. They've got Savio in, who's an absolute baller, apparently from La Liga. They're going to probably look at going and strengthening their centre-back option or their right-back option or whatever it be, right, under Kyle Walker. So for me, they're going to get better. Arsenal need to get to that level. And we need to make sure that behind us, Liverpool aren't going and going boom, boom, boom under onslaught. That Tottenham aren't going to give Ange Postecoglou 200 million. That Chelsea aren't going to get the right manager in to give him playing style to actually go and compete. Because this could happen. They're not going to be an absolute shambles forever. Man United, Chelsea, all these guys. Newcastle, I fancy to come back if they keep their players. I think they can come back. Now, I'm not saying they're going to out trump Arsenal, but I reckon some of them will be breathing down our necks to say, look, if you fancy slipping up, we'll be here. So let's make sure we are the absolute best. And if we ain't at City again, we're close. and we ain't dropping the level and go, do you know what? We're bloody fourth again now. What happened? Because that can happen in football. Yeah. We need the progress to continue, but we need to get across the line now. And the way that that continues is to go and take domestic cup seriously, as well as the Champions League and Premier League. I don't want any of this chucking cups in bins, man. None of that does well to me. I'm not a big fan of that. I need to be seeing us going all the way. All 4 competitions, I want to be taking them seriously. Because you can then spread your team along. If you get the right players in the right positions, you then start looking and going, right, okay, our backup goalkeeper comes in, and then we have a back 4 now where Tomiyasu plays, where Kivior plays, where a new guy that comes in, maybe Harto, wherever it be, plays. In midfield, Jorginho plays. He anchors that midfield with Fofana, with Alaka, Xavi Simons. Up top, you've got your Havertz that can play there now. Trossard comes in with Martinelli. That's the sort of team you have in your Carabao Cup. None of these Nelsons and Eddies and Sego Juniors and Waneris and Eddie and Nketiahs up top, Fabio Vieiras. None of that. That gets replaced with the players I've just said. So honestly, man, I need to see domestic cups. I'm going to bring up a comment here from Franklin. Big up to Franklin, bro. Hope you're well, man. Says, would you rather a Carabao Cup in 8th place? I wouldn't. I will put it back to like this. Why is it that the options are this? Would you rather fight for a title and win nothing, or win a trophy and come 8th? Why can't you fight for a title and win a trophy? Why is that never the option? Why is it that sometimes you can't come 2nd and win a domestic cup? Like, why was that not an option for Arsenal this year? Do you know what I mean? Like, people, they go, we didn't win anything, yeah, but we wouldn't have gone for the title if we would have gone for a cup. How the hell do you know that? We could have gone all out for the FA Cup. Because let's be real, or the Carabao Cup. In particular, the Carabao Cup, because that finishes in bloody February before the Champions League. Yeah? So I just don't get why that's not an option. Do you want the title and nothing else? Do you want a title race and nothing else? Or do you want to come 8th and get a cup? What about, I tell you what, I'll go for a title, miss out on the title, but I'll win a cup. Why is that not an option? I don't get that, man. I just can't understand why, for the life of me, that is not an option. It's like, well, if you go for cups, you come 8th. No, you don't. Like we went 8th and got a cup. Man United got 8th and got a cup. That's very rare that happens. It's normally Pep that wins them, or it's normally Chelsea. If you look at the last 10, 15, Manchester City and Chelsea have either won a title or come 2nd and won a League Cup or FA Cup as well. So I just don't get it, man. It makes no sense. Oh, bless me. So I really don't get why we can't go for all of them. Because it's like, you know, in darts, you aim for the 180. And if you're unlucky, you hit the 100 or the 140. That's what we need to do. Aim for 4. And if you're unlucky, you get 3 or 2, or at least you get 1. We go, right, let's put all of our eggs on one basket. And then, we've finished with nothing because we put the other 3 in the bin, or 2 of them in the bin. Nah, man, come on. We've got to be better than that. Like, it's got to be better than that. It's got none of this. Which eggs do we put in the basket? Let's go for them all. And we need the squad for that. And this is why I'm saying we need the squad now. We need the squad now. Anyway, big up to all of you, man. Thank you all so much for your interaction. Please make sure that you've hit the like button. There's over 500 of you in here. I need you all to hit the like button. We're just under 200 likes. Let's make sure we get that up to 400, please, people. All you've got to do is click the like button, and then we are there. I need you to hit subscribe for me. Please, subscribe to the channel. Let's get the community to 20K. That's what I need ASAP. So please make sure that we do that. All you've got to do is hit the like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. And I know I go on about it. I wouldn't if it didn't mean enough that much for the channel, but trust me, it does. So all I need you to do is hit that like button for me, and it means so, so much. Thank you all so much for listening and doing that. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be back tomorrow. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.